Disney stole my artwork and sold it in their parks, a long-awaited update. It's been over 2 years since my last update on Disney stealing my work. This is going to be a long one. For those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, here is the rundown. In February of 2022, I was made aware that a fan art model that I sculpted back in 2018 of the Tiki drummer from Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room was used by Disney to make a music box celebrating Disney World's 50th anniversary. The artist credited on the music box was Costa Elevezos, who at the time was, but is no longer, more on that later, a product design manager for Disney and had been employed by the company for over 25 years. But he is not the artist. He is a thief that stole my work and passed it off as his own. Costa could have sculpted one himself or used a scan of the original. That would have been just fine. But that's not what he did. He decided to steal my model. My exact model, down to every scratch, bump, and minute detail. Well, except for my name, which was removed from the bottom. I found out it was removed when I bought one off eBay from a scalper and checked for myself. The process was a little destructive, but I think it was $230 well spent. Since then, I have also purchased a 3D scanner. Sadly, the statue was no longer in one piece, but I was able to scan the bits and put it back together. Here you can see the scanned 3D model. It's a little bit rough, but I think it captures enough detail. And here's my original model. A scan model, and then my model. The scan, and then mine. You can really see that there's no difference between them because they are both my model, the one I made and the one that Disney stole from me. A common misconception I've seen over and over again the last few years in my comments section is that Disney owns all fan artwork made of their characters. No, they don't. I'm not a lawyer, and American copyright is overly complicated, but here's my understanding. In short, intellectual property owners do not own the copyright of fan artwork of their characters. Fan art and any derivative works have their own copyright separate from the copyright to the original IP. The creator of that fan art owns the copyright to that fan art. If an IP holder has an issue with fan art being made, they can send a cease and desist, and if that fails, they can bring legal action against that artist. But they cannot claim ownership of the fan art. Fan art belongs to the artist that made it. It doesn't matter who owns the copyright of that character. So how did Disney get my model? I put it up for free to download on Thingiverse in 2019 under a Creative Commons Attribution and Non-Commercial license. That means that I allow people to freely download and use my model for personal use. But they must give me credit for that model, and it cannot be sold for commercial purposes, neither of which was done by Disney. That pretty much covers the basics. So what has happened in the last 2.5 years? Many things. The thief that stole my work, Costa Elevezos, deleted all of his social media posts where he claimed that he made the Tiki drummer model. He also hid his LinkedIn and other social media sites for a time, but they are, as of now, back up, although he oddly enough spells his name with a K now. I reached out by email to the thief, capital K Costa, to ask him about the situation. I also sent that same email to his boss, the senior design manager at Disney, and her boss, the director of product development, and her boss as well, the vice president of production design at Disney. Unsurprisingly, I never heard back from any of them. Neither did any of the numerous journalists I've spoken to over the last few years and shared their contact information with. The Disney company as a whole has been officially silent about the whole situation, even to the point where internally Disney employees were forbidden to talk about it. At least that's what I was told, because, after all, it's a small world. The collectible sculpting community, an even smaller one. Speaking of small world, I purposely didn't ride that dystopian nightmare last year when I made my way to Disneyland and California Adventure for my birthday. Yay! And I found my Tiki drummer. Twice. Still for sale, more than a year after my first posts about the theft blew up on social media and me contacting Disney, making them fully aware of the theft within their company. I found it at Disneyana Gifts in Disneyland and Off the Page in California Adventure, where they feature art from actual Disney artists and also apparently now stolen fan artwork. When I was a child... When I was younger, I was fortunate enough to have vacationed to Disneyland, and the Disney art shops were some of my favorite experiences in the park. Seeing the Disney artists sharing their process in creating the amazing drawings and artworks was inspiring to me. It truly was. I'm not just throwing in a stupid sap story. I vividly recall seeing what I know now are Kent Milton's maquettes for Hercules, and I was awestruck by their expression and form, and I still am to this day. And in my 10-year-old brain, I thought that creating something like that was something I'd want to do when I was older and tried figuring out what to do with my life. And it was a dream of mine to maybe one day have my artwork seen in the Disney parks, and I've achieved that now. However, the experience has been somewhat soured when the artwork has been stolen from me and has the thief's name plastered all over it. For everyone furiously typing that I should just stop whining and sue Disney, I will say this to you. You have way more faith in the American justice system than I do. If there's any lesson to be learned from the last several years, it's that the rich and powerful can get away with anything, consequence-free. Secondly, I want you to stop and really think of what it costs. Not just the monetary cost, but the time cost, the opportunity cost, the relationship cost, the physical health costs, and the mental health costs it would take to sue the richest and most powerful entertainment corporation on the planet, a company that almost certainly employs more full-time lawyers than they do animators. And what would it get me? Years and years and years of drawn-out and expensive legal procedure, and then a settlement offer with a non-disclosure agreement that will make me shut up about the whole situation, and then maybe some money. And don't get me wrong, I would gladly take some money. I've got student loans, I've got rent, bills, food to pay for, and scraping by month to month as an independent artist sucks. And I'm only able to do it because I have a support network from my partner and my family. And trying to get by is getting harder and harder every day with generative AI stealing from and devaluing the work of actual artists. And it sure doesn't help when one of the richest companies in the world and their senior staff steal your work and sell it for $125 a pop. There has been a silver lining, though, maybe some minor justice. Shortly after contacting Costa's higher-ups at Disney, his direct boss, the senior design manager at Disney, deleted her LinkedIn profile, and I haven't been able to find any further information about her current employment. And the thief himself, Costa, according to his Instagram, where he now spells his name with a K, has retired from Disney and is now pursuing other things. Read into that as you will. That about covers everything I can say up until this point. Would you kindly follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Monster Caesar, or search my name, Andrew Martin, with Sculptor, and my socials should pop up. I'm the one that makes the monsters, not the painted fruit. Cheers, everyone.